Hi there, I'm Dredge, and welcome to the Deep. Today we're going to play Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, and this video is specially intended for my friends over on the treehouse. I hope you enjoy. We're going to start off with a weapons specialist build. The rules of engagement for this build are, number 1, it is all about the weapon damage. This means on-hit effects, flat damage, status effects. We are going to prioritize the weapon above all else. We will respec our character as needed to take advantage of the weapons we find. Rule number 2, there will be no save-scumming, especially when it comes to breaking down and reforging items. Rule number 3, we will not, with the exception of quests, craft any weapon until we have fully completed the blacksmithing tree. The only thing we're allowed to craft is armor. Alright. And with the rules of engagement in, no cheating. That's rule number 4. Lastly, rule number 5. I do have knowledge of this game, and there are places I will go to obtain weapons and armor. Hidden items, hidden chests I just remember the location of. I won't be using any other sort of guide. Lastly, rule number 6. I am going to try to go as swiftly as possible. Once I am out of the starting area, I'm going to drop a save. And then, once I am out of the second area, the first episode will be over. Alright. Best of luck to myself, and I hope you enjoy the game. We're going to play on very hard mode.
From the beginning, we were wrong, and only now, well into the second decade of the conflict, have we begun to understand the mistakes we have made. We lived in harmony among the Fae, in a world awakened to new magic. Perhaps we should have foreseen what might be born on this rising tide.
We're also not allowed to skip
What force
cinematics.
might awaken.
Just FYI.
A force powerful enough to twist even the eternal and immutable Fae folk. But Gadflow, the new king of the Winter Court, surprised us all. Singular among his people, he was all that other Fae were not. Aggressive, ambitious, visionary. He had power like none we had ever seen, terrible and deadly. Gadflow and his followers, the Tuatha Deon, believed that a new god was to be born in the east, beneath Gadflow's crystalline fortress of Amathen. In the name of that god, they marched to war against the young races of Amalur. Against a mortal army, no matter the power of their god, we might have been victorious. But the Fae are creatures of magic, not bound by the laws of life and death. Each Tuatha fallen on the battlefield would soon rise again, for the Fae do not know death as we do. How could we stand against such a force? For 10 years the war raged. For 10 years the armies of Men and Alpha fought and died. But as our numbers dwindled, we knew that it was only a matter of time. Our fate had been written. At least, that is what we believed. Until you died.
tarot card your character is shown holding is War Hero, which is not actually a tarot
What
card.
do you think this one is then? Alpha? Garan? Could even be a Jotun. Always a surprise, eh, Garan?
Eyes on the job, boy. Don't matter what it is. Dead's dead. And be thankful for that. All we've seen. Go on and pull back the sheet, though. It'll need to be in our report, one way or the other.
I cannot tell you how many times I have sat through that cutscene. Alright, so. Comes down to character creation. There are no gameplay differences between playing as a male or female character. Personally, I find the noises that female character makes upon getting hit a little bit too sexual, so I'm going to be playing as the male character. This is just for preference. This is not for anything else. Alright, as for our playstyle, we're going to remember our rules of engagement. Rule number 1, no save-scumming. Rule number 2, weapon focus. Rule number 3, no building weapons. Which means we're not going to be taking blacksmithing. Armor's nice, but I find it can be a bit of a trap to just get into the crafting of this game too soon. Leave it out of your mind for now. Mercantile is very nice. The earlier you take it, the more it stacks up. Detect Hidden is my favorite stat in the game. Dispelling just makes the skill check a little easier. Dispelling 1 is very good. Dispelling 2 is even better. Stealth in this game sucks. I'm sorry, it just does. A couple points in it is all you need. Persuasion is a very good stat. Personally, I'm going to be going with Detect Hidden and Mercantile. The lockpicking bonus is nice, but not crucial. The reason I'm doing this is taking Mercantile early is going to have higher payoffs, and I'll always have a +1. Secondly, it gets me closer to the ability to get rid of items in my inventory, so I don't have to go back to town very often. Detect Hidden is incredibly useful for increasing your gold find, which scales well with Mercantile, as well as helping you find hidden objects in the game. I won't be using any sort of map tool or any sort of pre-generated guide. This is anything you see me look for is only in my mind. So we're playing as a Varani. When it comes to weapons, physical damage is king. The higher base damage, the better. And because of that, we're going to ignore fire and ice. When it comes to the other 4 choices, war is probably the GOAT. With 5% physical damage and 5% armor, it'll scale everything we do. Death is also pretty great. Critical hit stuff is really good, but it doesn't really turn on until late game. Consistent damage in the early game and to crowds is better than percentage chance to crit. Poison damage is, like elemental, not that great. Taking the experience bonus is a choice, not one that I would pick. The basic rivet item that you can find gives you a 1% experience bonus. So, we're going war. I'm not going to spend too much time in the character customization screen. I'm going to make a character with similar facial hair and length to myself, and that's about it. darker. There we go. That's the right color. Match it all up. I sadly don't have any facial jewelry, so nothing's happening there. I also don't have any face tats, but they are really cool, aren't they? So instead, I will pick my favorite face tattoo in this game. Where is it? There it is. And we're gonna drop it in at a nice, maybe a nice white. Crank up the intensity. And I'm not going to change anything else about the character. Actually, eye color. There's some pretty fun eyeballs you can get. Notably, red eyes is kind of fun. So I'll go with that, just for funniness. I do not actually have red eyes.
A Varani. Must have been a mercenary, come to fight in the war. I could have told him how he'd end up. Not in bad shape, though, all things considered. All right, then. Make sure it goes into the report. You know he'll want all the details.
Amazing how well the body held up. Better than I've seen.
I'm just glad it's
Little
not
Easter
moving.
egg, your character's eyes suddenly
Must have been
moved during
born
that
under a
scene.
lucky star, this one.
Anything else we
Which
need?
is why he knows what they're talking about. when
Unless
they're
you'd
talking
like to
about-
name him, I think we're done. Put him with the others.
Alright, for the name, just so I can easily keep track of his character save. Dredge, weapons.
Well, that's it for you then. Better
you
luck
go.
next time.
Ooh. Content warning. Corpses. PTSD. That's gotta be so incredibly traumatic. All those dead guys. Oh, they just jump on them? Oh. Oh, they're squishy. Oh, no. Oh, don't slip. Oh. I would want a bath after that, let me tell you what. Alright, so. We're playing in hard mode. Enemies deal a lot of damage, and they have a lot of health. That's kind of all it is to it. I wouldn't recommend that you play hard mode if you've never played Kingdoms of Amalur before. Alright. In our upper left, you'll see our health and our magic. The middle bar is fate. Underneath will be arrows we have available once we get a bow. To our upper right, you'll see our mini-map. I do not set it to lock because I like it to keep the direction my character is facing. So, we start off our adventure deep down below. The backgrounds in this game are just lovely. And even here, you can see the implications of an ancient civilization that we will learn more about as the game progresses. Objects you can interact with will be visible via a shimmer above them, and once you get close, around them. Notes are not something I'm going to pick up. I can go back for certain notes, and technically these ones are missable, but they take up an item space in your inventory. And I don't need them. I'm not going for a sort of achievement here. Now if we head up here, you'll find a skeleton friend with a cup of gold to start us off. And then lastly, we can see a guy who needs a little bit of incineration. In you go, buddy. Much nicer than to be left to decompose, in my opinion. We're going to pick up our rusty sword, which is our first weapon, and, due to the short range of the sword, one of the ones I barely ever use. My favorite weapon in this game are the chakrams. The rusty sword, as you can see, deals 9 melee damage and has 20 durability. 7 physical, 2 piercing. Piercing damage is something that you can consider as true damage in the game of Kingdoms of Amalur. Your character does not perform a sheath-unsheath action as part of their attack swing. The attack just goes off as if they were already holding their weapon. You can block with the left trigger, access your quick items with the left button,
They're all over.
Roll
Run!
with some iframes using the B button.
Scatter, children of dust! Scatter before the might of the Tuatha!
Now, in the early game, breaking everything you can find is a valuable source of gold. This good falls off towards the late game. Rats are pretty vicious. But, as long as you don't get yourself caught off guard, you'll be just
Stay
fine.
away! No child shall escape.
Alright. Plenty of invisible walls inside of interior
Anybody!
corridors. So, these early Tuatha can be the bane of a new run. So
You!
just make sure
Up there, please help me!
dodge their
Please!
attacks.
Scum! All die.
And just do a combo chain. Early combat is a little bit This is your first opportunity to save scum, if you so desire.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
And you
If
can
you
use
hadn't come
persuasion to
along
force him to give you some
way.
goodies.
I've seen you before. On the slab. You were dead. It worked. By the tome, it worked. You're alive.
We're gonna choose kind and not rude options whenever available. I like to play friendly characters, and in the background you can see some beautiful clipping animations happening in between those two gears, and we're just gonna pretend they're not. What happened to me?
You died. I don't know how or even where. But your body was remade in the Well of Souls, and somehow it worked. The well restored your soul to your body, and it worked. We must get you to Professor Hughes right away. He'll have questions for you.
So, I will be getting as much dialogue in as possible, just in case you don't feel like playing this game yourself. I'll try to walk down the majority of dialogue paths. Who are these attackers?
Oh my, you don't know? Oh, perhaps the process damaged your memory. They are the Tuatha Deon, the enemies of all the young races. We've never seen them this far inland, not even during the invasion. I don't know why they are here. Hughes may have the answer to that as well.
People.
You must stay alive and reach him.
Pretty good guess. I have some questions myself.
Oh, no doubt. But we must get to Hughes. He'll be in his study on the ground floor. The Tuatha are coming in through the lower levels. If we hurry, we should be able to beat them to the top. Take these. They'll help keep you safe long enough to get to Hughes. Now let's get going.
Attackers.
Oh my, you don't know? We've never seen them this far inland. Not even during the invasion. I wish I could tell you more. You showed no signs of life when we removed your new body from the well's waters. We just put it in the furnace room with the others. We would have never done that if we knew. The Well of Souls is just ahead. You'll see. And it works. It restored you to life. There will be plenty of time to explain later. We've got to get going. He'll be in his study on the ground floor of the tower. At least, I hope he's there. And safe. Let me get this door. Right this way. You go first.
Just make sure we're maximum, breaking all the barrels. Don't want to miss any potential upgrades. Plenty of lovely vats of green ooze.
This is what they're after. Our greatest invention. The Well of Souls. Imagine an end to war. An end to death.
Well, that is the thing. So, I don't believe there are any items in here early on, but when we return to this area, there will be a bonus puddle drop that we can find because we know it exists. And it will be right around here, if I recall correctly. Some more Tuatha down here.
We're in one of the storerooms. See if you can find anything useful.
The moment you interact with the weapon chest in the corner, it will trigger a new wave of Tuatha, so make sure you're ready. In the early game, we're going to be stacking as much armor as possible because of the high base damage inflicted in hard or extra hard difficulty. So things like base armor and block efficacy are going to be very important. Now, you don't have to play that way. You can play however you want, but I will be playing this way. healing potions to the radial, which we can access just like that. We are going to need those healing potions. Hard mode is not easy mode.
Wait! Do you hear something?
Alright, we've got our shield. A perfect block resists a good portion of damage.
More to offer!
Ready to die, Dusty. This ain't no Dusty. Time to perish, mortal.
You're going to need more than just that sword. That one had a bow. Get it?
Alright. Easy peasy. Your bow replenishes arrows automatically and is something we are going to be heavily investing into. The bow is an incredibly useful weapon. Typically, you'll see me start almost every combat with the bow, and then switch to another weapon. And I can do it just like that. You'll see it takes a few seconds for that first arrow to come back. So, instead of doing a charged shot, which I'll only do if the enemy's out of range or otherwise unavailable, you'll see me do a full shot like this. The moment my controller rumbles, my character's arm goes all the way back. That's when I want to release it for consistent damage.
Archers up ahead. Best shoot them before they see us.
Ouch.
It's over. Go, go!
I shouldn't have to worry too much about my health. As long as I try not to get hit by too many archers, we should be fine. Now there's two enemies up there.
Ready to fall.
Alright. Tattered documents are not a worthwhile item. Now, you won't be able to see how much they sell for, but they don't, is the answer. They sell for a tiny amount. They're not even worth your inventory space. I don't care if it's 1 gold piece. It's literally just useless. Don't even pick them up. It's a waste of your time. And any time that you collect enough of an item to be full, it's usually worth selling about half of your inventory.
Daggers are deadly if you catch an enemy unaware. Their speed more than makes up for their size.
On top of that, daggers also let you do some pretty effective combos. And they are better than the rusty longsword. You'll see that you lose really not much. You lose 3 physical damage, but you gain 2 piercing damage. And almost every enemy has some baseline of armor, so you're almost always better off with piercing damage over base physical. On top of that, their basic attack combo includes lunges, which let you keep up with how much your enemy is being pushed back, and avoid attacks that were targeting your original position. They also have a 5-attack weapon chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that 6th hit is always a critical. You can hear that critical noise. It'll apply any critical effects should you have them. But we're not taking crit damage. Early on, you just don't have a lot of critical strike chance or damage. It's just not worth it. You're better off stacking armor. Later in the game, crit damage scales incredibly well. Early in the game, however...
More up ahead! If you can sneak up on them with your daggers, you should be able to finish them quickly and quietly.
It's right button. Now you can roll, and your stealth won't increase. So stealth and roll is a very effective strategy. Your stealth is not negatively impacted by heavy armor, so I'm gonna just roll here.
Look at the mortal worm sky.
Against the wall. And you really can't do anything. Now, sometimes putting enemies up against a wall means you won't get their loot. So, do keep that in mind, whether or not it's worth it. Enemies can be pushed through walls via a glitch. If that happens, I'll probably reload a previous save if they're essential for the quest.
Cave blossoms only respond in the presence of magic. Perhaps there is more to you than it seems.
There's spiders. Spiders are venomous. Be careful. That's what that means. All right. Oops, I didn't mean to drink that. Oh well. My poison damage is boosted, should I have any.
Incredible! What are you?
With controller, you hold down the right button and then press the spell assigned button. You can access your spell wheel through the menu only, which is sad, but alright, spiders come first. So we will first get a spider after we loot this chest. And inside, we're going to have the staff. Fire damage is ridiculous, and it stacks on top of physical damage. The staff does the most base weapon damage for the first few zones, and is probably going to be our go-to melee weapon, even more so than the daggers. I guess that's not until the next step. It uses mana regen, but the staff doesn't automatically use magic to attack. Mana regen kinda doesn't matter, and 10% of your base regen is not very good. You don't regenerate 10% of your mana every second. You get plus 10% of whatever mana regen you have, which is like 1. it's just not worth it. So, spider right here. Again, we're going to start off with... Go. Flawless victory. Here's that staff. As you can see, although it says slow speed, it deals 5 more base damage instead of physical. It deals fire. It also deals 8 burning damage over 3 seconds, which is about, I believe, 2 point... What is that? 2.33 damage per second. I think the way the game tabulates that is it deals 2 damage, then 3 damage, then 3 damage. The initial tick is usually lower. Anyways. So, the wind-up is a little bit slow. But you can also cancel that wind-up. Like this. So, if you find yourself being attacked while you're about to wind up, you can easily dash away. Some of the other weapons don't let you do that. In addition, here's the base combo. 1, 2, 3. So, first is a burst, second is a medium range, or close to medium range line projectile, and the third creates a cone. Now, you can cancel out of this attack at any time. 1, 2, or 1, 2. But once you start that wind-up on the third, you are in a unstoppable animation. Now, that also does mean you are immune to displacement effects while you are in that animation.
It completely covered the tunnel. Maybe you can use that staff to burn a path. Not more spiders. Burn them. Burn them!
Because it deals blind damage to both spiders. Get zapped, nerd. Alright. Now, skulls and bones, although useful for a quest later on, are not actually useful. You can collect skulls if you want, but there will always be more skulls and bones to be found. It's not really important. I wouldn't recommend picking these up. Again, percentage mana regen is not good. We're going to sell that item. Here. Not ideal, but acceptable. I don't need
Hurry,
potions
get out
yet.
Here.
Despite Hugh's yelling at us, we don't actually need to hurry.
Wait, you're not one of them. Ansel, yet alive. And who's this? That's what I intend to find out. He came out of the well. What?
Yes, I did.
Then he'd better get inside to see the old man. Quick, before those twatha make another push. This is where we part ways. Take whatever you want from this armory. We might have a few things that would fit you. Just make sure you get your shoes. We can hold off the Tuatha here.
Well, thank you very much. There's always a chance that he'll give you a couple free potions if you say you need more help. If your speech skill is high, this chance goes up massively. But I can fight with you.
We can't risk you getting killed. You're proof that the well can work. Don't you realize what that means? Just keep going past the top of the well. Hughes will be there in his study. I'll see you on the outside, if fate wills it.
We like Ansel. He's a nice guy.
You're what the well spat out? I guess it could have been worse. The scholars are soft. The Tuatha will find my Praetorians are a tougher breed. We Praetorians are tempered in battle, like the finest steel. The scholars are soft. The Tuatha will find my Praetorians are... I hope you're worth all this. No more.
The well brought you back, huh? The rest of us aren't that lucky.
Well, can't say I did it on purpose, miss. Repair kits are very good, but they are better the later in the game you are. Items are worth more when sold if fully repaired. However, early game items are barely worth
Later.
anything at all.
Nothing
and I
protects
wouldn't
quite like
recommend
layers of
using
impervious
repair
metal.
kits on them.
Leather armor is thin, but will give you the speed to reach an enemy's throat. Simple cloth frees your body and mind. That's why mages prefer it.
You come out of the well and the Tuatha show up. That can't be a coincidence.
Correct.
A lot of good gnomes died today. You'd better be worth it.
Well, if this were the average gamer playing, maybe, maybe not. But you got Dredge. So you're in good hands. Try not to get crushed by falling rocks. It can happen. Taking damage isn't ideal. So, looking at our health, we have 21 out of 52. Looking at our inventory, a healing potion restores a small amount. Let's see how much it restores, just as a little test. Restores all of it. Early game, a healing potion that's minor is all of your health. Stacking health will be important to do, as the only point of health that matters is your last. However, armor makes your health more effective, and more health makes more armor more effective. Now this is a book. Books are different than scraps. If you have a book like this, you can sell it to librarians for a little bit more money. So if you're going to keep anything, keep a book. Lovely little pillar. Now, what this precisely is is actually known to me, and I could explain it, but that might be spoilers for those who haven't played the game. Alright. Sadly, there's nothing important you can do in this zone. Can't even avoid talking to him to pick stuff up.
You've made it, and look at you, even with all you've been through. The Tuatha, your return from the dead. Please forgive me, you must be terribly confused by all of this. I am Fomerus Hughes, and this is my laboratory at Alistar. Everything you see here is dedicated to one thing, the Well of Souls, the pursuit of immortality. And you're my first success. If we only had the time, there's so much we might learn from one another.
Attackers.
You don't know. They're called the Tuatha. They were once Fey folk of the Winter Court, but they've been twisted by their Lord Gadflow. But how could they have found us out here? We're miles away from the front lines. The war has never touched Dalantarth. And why attack the well?
Why indeed?
The Fey are complicated. I could write 10 volumes on the effects of immortality on their pseudo-feudal court system alone. I am Fomerus Hughes, Scholar of Vivification Prime Circle. We're standing above my life's work, the Well of Souls. There's so much to learn about you, though. I imagine it's all a bit muddled. A side effect of the prismere? Shape of the basin? No. If only we had more time. I wish I could tell you more, but your death is a mystery to me as well. It seems that your memory died with your body. You see, the well is designed to capture the soul of someone recently deceased, recreating their physical form within its waters. Simple, really. Your rebirth is the first we might truly call a success. There have been others, but the results weren't quite right. The Tuatha are a radical splinter of the Fae. Insane, bloodthirsty, and immortal. Even when they die, their essence returns home to be reborn later. They hate mortals like you and me, and want us wiped off the face of Amalur. I can only imagine how much they hate the idea of mortals being reborn. It's been my life's work. Decades of research with a singular goal, ending death itself. And now, you're the only proof that it's a success. But why did it work on you and no one else? What makes you different from the others? There's so many questions to ask, and if we're to get any answers, we've got to get you someplace safe. Too much to explain right now. The Tuatha have come to stop my work, but I don't believe they know about you. Not yet. What's important is getting you out of here safely. You're the only proof of what we've achieved here. I may not be able to save the well, but I can ensure that its only success is safe.
Where are we?
We're in the Feylands, miles away from the front lines. I thought we were safe enough from the war, but it seems some of the Tuatha found their way here anyway.
Let's get out of here.
Yes, you're right. I've got my notes, but it's most important that you stay safe. It's just that you're... Wait, where are you going? Simply astounding. I'm not certain what's caused it, but somehow... yes, as I was saying, I'm not sure what... Perhaps I should go see.
Sir! Mr. Hughes!
No,
the Tuatha have reached the lab! They're inside the map!
Rip Ansel.
No! We've got to get you out of here now! Quickly! Follow the path to the town of Gorhart. Find Agath. He's a friend, and he may be able to help. No matter what else, stay alive!
Yeah, he runs out. Passing them up. Look at this crazy guy. Go, Fomerus Hughes. Alright, now, we do have to escape before the building falls down around us. consideration, sadly, you can't access any part of the lab. I know. How unfortunate. Alright, so.
Need a bit more turning.
Alright, get wrecked. There's a chest right here. I know I can press take all. It's just a bad habit to take everything in the chest. Because quite often, you fill up your inventory with things you don't
Get
actually
moving, you
want.
brute! Tear this!
Okay, so this is the first mini-boss encounter. We're up against a troll. Now, trolls have a couple annoying features, but in general, they have two primary behaviors. One if you are close range, and one if you are far range. Trolls have a weak spot, and that weak spot is directly in their face, not behind them, but underneath. Regardless of what you might think, a troll is vulnerable to frontal melee assaults. However, a troll is also resistant to magic attacks, meaning our lightning strike is not very useful. Instead, we're going to want to use our lightning attack on the adds in this fight. Our minor healing potion will be of great use.
Power apart!
Get the troll to hit the other two off Rock troll down. Not as clean as I am capable of, but we killed it, and we didn't die. Go us. Now, sadly, protection shards and all the other shards are basically useless in the early game. They're not really even worth combining. In fact, you're better off selling them, because merchants keep everything you buy. You can always buy them back later. And when you have level 10 in Mercantile, you can often buy them back for so little gold that it barely matters. So, when you can, add them to the junk. When you can't, just take them and sell them later. Troll down. And we should level to level 2 right when we leave. We'll drop our first save, and then we'll go forward. Once we reach the town of Gorhart, we will drop our episode and we'll start next. That guy didn't make it. Alright, time to level up. Now we are going to be a weapons generalist. That is our point, is to work around our best weapon. Now, early on, I would like the following points. Alchemy 3 is a good thing to have. Alchemy 4 is a very good thing to have. These alchemy potions that you can make can temporarily increase your skills, like blacksmithing, like like dispelling, lockpicking. There's a recipe for each, and it's good to know them. But you can harvest reagents at about a 10% chance with no alchemy skill. It's not usually worth it. Dispelling 2 is very good. Dispelling 4 is very good. Lockpicking 4 is not very important at all, and in fact, almost no levels of lockpicking are necessary. Mercantile 3 is a very important goal, letting us get rid of trash items. Persuasion 1, 3, they're all decent, but I wouldn't put my points into them. Sagecrafting. You can finally create gems with Sagecraft 2. Until then, gems are useless, but I wouldn't even bother until the late game. Stealth. Sight range. It kinda doesn't matter, and you almost never have to do sneaky things anyways, so it's not even worth your points. Unless you really want to be a thief, in which case, go ahead, I guess. But I like to put my points right here. Harvesting components is a very useful thing to unlock for blacksmithing 1. And salvaging infrequent equipment is also very useful. However, I want hidden treasures. I want as much detect hidden as I can get. So, detect hidden 2 lets you see hidden treasures and increases your gold found. Detect hidden 3 lets you see what ways enemies are facing. Detect hidden 4 lets you deactivate traps. Detect hidden 5, secret doors are displayed. Detect hidden 7, traps are displayed. Detect hidden 8, traps are disarmed. And lastly, detect hidden 10. Lore stones and treasures are displayed on the minimap. Anyways. Now, we are a generalist build, so we need each of the weapons, but more importantly, we want certain spells. Particularly we want Shadow Flare. Shadow Flare is incredibly cheap and staggers your enemies. Sorcery, we want this shot right here, Arcane Weaponry 2, to attack from block with the staff is incredibly powerful. So, we're going to be putting in a point into Arcane Weaponry 1. We are going to put no points into Brutal Weaponry. The longsword, the greatsword, and the hammer just aren't very good. Only put points into this if, and only if, you find a great weapon early on. Otherwise, it's not worth it. These attacks just kinda suck, with Minotaur Rush being the best of the three. Longsword Mastery. Longswords are fine, but honestly, not worth your time. The hammer is the best. Quake. Sadly, although it has very good damage, it's purely physical with no pierce. Harpoon is very useful. It lets you stagger enemies or pull yourself towards large enemies, letting you get around the battlefield quickly. It also is very good for getting archers. Skillful defense. Getting the shield bash move is very effective. In addition, getting a little bit of bonus health is nice. What we really want is Adrenaline Surge. That will be our goal from the Might tier. So we're going to be putting our points into, in this skill, Harpoon. Options and optionality are very important, and we want Adrenaline Surge, and eventually Power Strike. This is the best way to get critical strike chance in the early game. We then want Relentless Assault. This lets us ignore stagger damage, and at higher levels gives you Reflection and eventually Lifesteal. The entire Quake tree honestly kinda sucks, and I don't recommend it. If it dealt piercing damage, then maybe we would care. Concussive Force is good if you have a stun build. Typically, you'll only really get good stun from hammers, or off of the Bulwark. These other abilities are nice. The best ability is the attack from block with the hammer. Although attack from dodge with greatsword is very good. Berserker Rage is very, very, very nice. It costs a bit of your total mana at all the times, but it lets you deal a large amount of bonus damage after scoring your first kill. Then, once it's activated, you'll get damage resistance, which is very good. And then, the attack speed just is, it's a nice little capstone. Lastly, Warcry. Warcry is very good against bosses, but is so high up in the enemy, or in the Might tree, it's almost useless. Lastly is Terror. Terror is also just as good against bosses. Now, that being said, Warcry and Terror each have 6 potential levels, which is just too much, and really not worth your time. So, we are going to put our point into Shadow Flare. We are going to put a point into Arcane Weaponry, so we can get to attack from block. And then we are going to put a point into Might to get the Harpoon. then we are going to map our harpoon probably to A, not to X. And then we're going to map our lightning bolt to B. All right. Now our birch staff has almost broken, but that's okay. We can repair it later, and we will replace it shortly. I really wouldn't worry too much about it. Reagents take up no inventory space and are always worth your time.
Another survivor? But I've never seen you in the tower. Were you one of the Professor's assistants in the downstairs projects? Did he escape with you? That sounds like him. Professor Hughes was very thoughtful. I mean, he is very thoughtful. I'm sure he found a way to get out. He must have! Alistair is remote enough that we don't get a lot of visitors. And with our research, fewer visitors means fewer questions. Oh, you mean Agav? He visits Hughes every once in a while. I never could figure out why they got along. He's friendly enough, if a bit odd. You should be able to find him in Gorhart, just down the road, past the ruins. You can't miss it. We all knew Fomerus was a genius, but I'll admit, even I had my doubts about him being able to bring the dead back to life. Guess the Tuatha weren't very pleased that it worked. I just don't understand the Tuatha. I mean, most Fae aren't violent. The wild ones can be, but no more than any forest animal. But the Tuatha are some sort of cult among the Winter Fae. Before they invaded Erythel, no one could have imagined the Fae ever marching to war.
Yeah, I'm sure. The Fae going to war definitely isn't a thing that's happened.
Brilliant idea, the Well of Souls. Plucks dead people out of the ether, rebuilds their body, and brings them back to life. At least that's what it was supposed to do. Guess we'll never know if it worked now. We should be safe here. At least a little. I told them all, guards. It's only a matter of time before they come after us again. We should be safe here.
I saw you fighting there. We could have used more of you. Did they really have a troll? I don't know how the Tuatha found us, but if they had a troll, it couldn't have been an accident. Fate was kind to collapse that doorway behind you, or they would have chased us into the glade. We started building here when they found Prismere in the mines nearby. Never thought we'd see Tuatha this far out west, though.
The mining is something very interesting and very consequential for the lore of this game.
Fate weavers? Ah, charlatans. You swears by them. But I'll be damned if I trust my future to some cards. Hughes ran off, you say? I wouldn't worry too much. The old man's tougher than he looks, and he's always got a plan. They're technically a type of wild fae, related to the fae of the summer and winter courts, actually. Dangerous enough in the wild. The Tuatha also use them in their army.
I love the voice acting in this game. I wish they had more voice actors.
I never did trust fae to begin with. But those Tuatha are the worst sort. They waged some sort of holy war against humans and Alpha for years now. But the front's all the way out east. What are they doing out here? How did they know about this place? The well was incredible, but it took armloads of prismere crystals to keep the thing active. That's why we built it so close to the Stone Candle mines. They even put in a few tunnels to deliver the crystals directly into the well. I told them it wasn't safe. Looks like I was right. Again. Good luck out there.
There was quite a bit of casual humor.
Thank Matharu, another survivor. Are there any more? I suppose that's a little bit of kindness from fate. May those still trapped inside rest peacefully. This was supposed to be a nice isolated grove. So much for that. You don't see many fate weavers nowadays, but they were very popular when I was a girl. My parents even hired one to advise them on raising my sister and me. But these days, you're lucky if you can find a single fate weaver in a big city. Most have been run out of town. For Morris Hughes was one of the greatest minds of our generation. The Well of Souls was a dream that was almost too good to come true. Who knows why the Tuatha hate mortals? Who knows why the Fae do half the things they do? The well was a beautiful dream, an end to death, a cure to tragedy. It would have made war pointless. It could have saved the world.
You could
We
change
should
your
have known
fate.
it was too good to
Would
exist.
ya?
Now our friends have paid the price. Stay safe. We'll be moving soon.
Thanks for the well wishes. So, we're gonna jump, and we're gonna grab some of the delicious lures here in the water. And we're gonna go in there at the end. Not yet. Because there's rats in that there cave. And those rats have ended many a hardcore play run. There's that upgrade we were talking about, from 17 damage all the way up to 23. I'm dealing 2 additional damage base as ice, and 4 damage on top of that as fire. 5 freezing damage over 6 seconds is 0.8, I want to say. .8 damage a second. Is that right? Probably not. 5 over 6. Whatever. Doesn't really matter in the end. Fire damage and fire damage. So, less base fire, but 2 forms of damage, and more of it. And it's also a fresh weapon. Now, what element that you put on your weapon does not actually matter. Necklace of Ice Shield. Don't mind if I do. Birch Buckler. Block 6 damage. Just the same as my Crude Iron Kite Shield. Minor Mana Potion. Alright, here we go. So, we're going to start off with an arrow. Then, we're going to use a Lightning Bolt. Then, we're going to use the Harpoon. Lesions. Minus 15% armor. Well, that's not great. So, lockpicking. You can move your lock. And you want to stop if your pick shakes. There's a certain noise that lockpicking makes when it works correctly. We can replace our bow. This is how dispelling works. It's a rhythm game. Ooh, we start off with our very first piece of yellow gear. The Frostweave hand wraps. I'll need 8 sorcery to get them. 5 physical resistance, 10 mana regen per second. 10%. It's not good enough baseline. However, once you hit 3 pieces, that 2 health regen is juicy. So, we're going to keep that, but we're not going to use it because we can't. Let's start off here. It's always in one of 7 pick positions. Crude Iron Cuirass is better than what I have now. And there's one guy up there. I do love the background detail in this game. We got our first scepter. A scepter is an alternative to the longbow. Now, what it does for you is it gives you a chance to turn your mana into ranged damage. It's a way to deal elemental damage at range and can be fairly strong. However, the scepter uses mana every time it attacks that you cannot then use on other better spells. Its rate of fire is fairly good, and I'll show you how that works. And then we'll switch back to the Birch longbow. These are armor components, the first ones we pick up. Each piece of component you put into the armor improves its effect. Here's our first shrine, a Shrine of Matharu. Matharu's protection gives us 0.5 health regen. Now, we finally have a form of health regen. So, here is that was another point that you can save scum, should you so desire.
You! I remember you.
This was one of the other guys in the opening.
You're the one? How did you come back? How did you find me here? No, I had no idea anything like that would happen. The Well of Souls is bigger than one gnome's pet project. My employer pays for information about its progress. I just send the reports to make some money on the side. I never wanted anyone to get hurt.
Now, you can fight this guy if you want to. If you succeed on this speech check, you get a pretty hefty sum of gold. There are no negative consequences to killing him, if you so decide. However, we will not be killing him.
I promise you, if I knew who it was, I'd tell you. Sharing research is one thing, but academic sabotage is a crime.
We're not going to extort him.
Thank you, thank you. Here, take this. It's the pay for my last report. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm going back home to Odessa.
Thanks for the free money. Decent chunk of change then. Survived our first bear encounter. Wildlife in this game can be more deadly than you want. Now, up here there are wolves and the first dungeon. Inside this mine, you'll face your first, I think this game calls them kobolds. However, you can fast travel to this location once you've discovered its entrance. So, we're not going to be going inside just yet, as we have a disease on us that will vastly limit our armor inside the dungeon, and that could prove deadly. Because we're playing on hard mode. If we were playing easy mode, perhaps I'd be more willing. This is a shadow prism. Shadow prism are useful for being a thief. Other than that, I would not bother. Now this is a decent upgrade, gives you a base poison damage on every hit, and then increases the poison damage you deal. Let's go ahead and map poison damage, map poison resist, and map shadow prism. Alright. Now, Atharu's protection has almost run out. If we want, we can go back to Thru's shrine and refresh that buff. There's no limit to the number of buffs you can have active.
You've come from the tower, haven't you? Name's Agarth. Maybe you can help an old Fate Weaver, eh? Fate Weavers look at the great tapestry of fate. The threads will tell us how a life will unfold. But knowing the future and being able to change it are two very different things.
Hughes sent me to find you.
Did he? Poor old Fomerus Hughes. He respected the way the world works. What a shame. He's probably dead by now.
What makes you think he's dead?
The cards told me that the Well of Souls would work, but Hughes's success would come on the day of his death. He took it pretty well, honestly, although we did a lot of drinking after that. You really don't know much, do you? A Fate Weaver taps into the threads of fate and channels that energy through a focus. My order prefers cards. The cards are unique to each Fate Weaver, since we all see the weave differently.
I could ask for help. May as well.
I wish I could, but times are tough. I've barely got enough to pay my bar tabs as it is.
Now we know he's a drinker.
You're the one. Then that means it all makes sense now. The cards this morning. I drew the Gravedigger, the Running Man, and the Beast. Prepare yourself. They're coming.
Alright, let's switch back to our birch longbow. And let's use our Serpent's Venom. Alright, let's get arrows up.
Shall be honored. Aye, mortal.
Assassins. They have a slightly different attack pattern. Targets go down.
What? How? What are you? The threads of fate. I've seen them before, but I've never seen anyone manipulate them like that. You just changed how the world was supposed to work. How did you do that? You just... Fate is the will of the gods. No mortal should be able to change it. How is that even possible? Come here. I'm going to do a reading. You might be able to change the threads, but fate will still have a plan for you. I promise not to tell you if I see your death. It's a gift. Some people paint landscapes. Other people write poetry. I peer into the weave of fate's tapestry and see people's deaths.
Is this why Hughes sent me?
That would be my guess. He was an academic, but he had a proper respect for fate's plan, unlike most gnomes.
I like how he raises his eyebrow there.
You're nervous. Relax. This is what fate weavers do. I'll be seeing your place in the pattern of destiny. Who you are, what you've done, where your path takes you. Or, at least, I should be. You're real, right? I swear I haven't had that much.
You can't see my fate?
Fate's weave is always hard to see. It's in motion, hard to make out, but undeniably there. Yours is just missing. This doesn't make sense. All mortal creatures have a place in the pattern. You should have one too, dead or not. If this is true, and I'm not saying I believe it, then your path is yours to determine.
All right. So, here are our destinies. Because we put 1 point in each, we can access the Seeker. The Seeker is really, really good because it reduces the equip requirements by 25%, meaning something that would require a might investment of 4 now requires only a might investment of 3. That lets us use more weapons that we find. Although melee damage is good, ranged damage is good, elemental damage is good, being able to equip even better items is better. We will continue down the generalist tier, because what I want is here. +1 to all skills. That's things like persuasion, lockpicking, and, you guessed it, detect hidden. At level 4, we will get a bonus, +1 to all of our skills. It then gets even better when we hit polymath at +2. And lastly, universalist at +3. It also gives you 1 point in all weapon mastery abilities, which is fine, but it's that +3 to all skills that really just makes it work. So, we are now a Seeker.
I can see the threads around you, but they're shifting, changing so rapidly, I can't make sense of them. Normally the threads would guide my hand to the cards, and I'd use those cards to see your pattern in the weave. But it just didn't happen. They wouldn't focus. So either there's something wrong with me, and there isn't, or there's something very wrong with you.
What does this mean?
It could mean nothing, or it could mean everything. The world is changing. You might be a sign of that, or maybe the cause. I've never had a reason to doubt my own readings, but we should consult with Arden. He's not a friend, but he's got a good eye for the tapestry. I'll meet you at his home to the east. I'm going to see if I can be of any help to the wounded at the tower. Once I was Agarth the Unyielding, the Blade of Avgrum. I wrestled the Colossus Priestess and declined knighthood by the High King of the Fae. I was a hero of men, but that wasn't enough for me. I joined the Fate Weavers, hoping to find a way to conquer destiny itself. Turns out fate is the one thing I couldn't fight. You can find Arden's little cottage in the middle of Joven. Had to move there when he got run out of town. He's a damned good Fate Weaver, but that doesn't make you very popular. Especially not in dark days like these. We are all threads in the tapestry of fate, measured, woven, and cut according to a great plan. Fate Weavers undertake the task of reading those threads. Our title always was a bitter lie, since we have no control over how that tapestry is woven. But you do. And when a Fate Weaver looks at your place in the weave, we see only the shapes of what you may choose to become. The Fate Weavers were once a great, unified order of sages from all the mortal races. We foretold the destinies of kings and gods. But that power takes a toll. Nobody likes bad news. And all the news in the world is getting worse. The Order splintered long ago. Now the old traditions are all but lost. And all I foretell is the fate of my beer. And I see it being empty soon.
Relatable.
Hughes was always an odd one. Curious and determined as any of his kind, sure. He never shut up about his work. But he always knew what was important. He didn't worry about dying as long as he knew he'd get the well working. The Tuatha aren't like any Fae I've ever known. They're cruel, bloodthirsty, and savage. Why, they're practically human. That's just it. I don't know if you've got one, but that's why we're going to see Arden. He lives in a little hut to the east in Yulven. I'll meet you there. What could this all mean?
All right. So, at this point in a run, you could choose to respec yourself and take all 6 of your points to unlock one of the weapon specializations. It would not be completely wrong to reinvest all of your points to access Mage's Vortex to attack while blocking with the staff, because it's broken strong. It would also not be wrong to reinvest all of your points so you can get Envenomed Edge, which is just really good passive poison damage. Highly recommended. Alright. We've completed this combat, and as a result, we are now going to go to the town of Gorhart, where we will then end today's adventure. Because we have Detect Hidden, we'll find additional items. We received DLC starting notifications for the Legend of Dead Kell, Teeth of Narrows, etc.
Of all the songs in halls of lore, there echoes none more grand than Olane's many feats of might, the pure and lady of the light. She is a knight of golden knot. She is the cure seeker, the conscience of the summer fae. She is the heart of spring, of day.
Now I know, you're thinking this is just a little cow guy. I could kick his butt. However, I guarantee you, he'll kick your butt. The Minor Health Regeneration Potion. It's a very good object. This is little Easter egg bogger. There's a bunch of them hidden all around. They don't really do anything, but they're pretty cute. That's a chicken. You could hurt it if you want to. I'm not that kind of person. This is the town of Gorhart. When you first arrive,
Everyone just stand back. The warden can't work when you're crowding so close. Go back to your business. Go on.
Can you believe those monks?
Keep moving. This business doesn't concern you. Unless you're an expert scholar on the Fae, I'd suggest you move along. No reason to be out in the open with the Red Legion about.
Oh.
What are they? I'm not sure, but they've been here for longer than any of us can imagine. They're older than the trees. They have to be. They grew them. Humans and immortals cannot live together in peace, at least not forever. The peace we have with the Summer Court is unnatural. That's my opinion. You might call it a Fae nation, one of two united factions that rule their kind. The Summer Court are not exactly allies, but they do let us be, most of the time. It's the other Fae, the Winter Court, that has spawned the dreaded Tuatha, a vicious clan of killers who wish to defeat and enslave all mortals. Are you playing a trick on me? I would hope so. We're going on 10 years of the mortals and the Tuatha locked in a deadly embrace.
Very distracting.
Normally, I'd decry the bloodshed, but this is a conflict that we cannot afford to lose. Bandits, but no ordinary bandits.
But
surely you've heard of Red, the dead Idward. They say he drinks the blood of his captives, that he consumes their souls. Or perhaps those are just rumors. You should be fine if you stay inside the village. Once you go beyond the boundaries of Gorhart, however, your life is in your hands. I'd never seen one of them until a day or so ago. It appears that a small group of warriors ventured inland to strike behind our lines. Believe the stories, friend. The Tuatha were mad. They have been touched by a dark magic. They are wholly corrupted, and they are the enemy. I don't know if you noticed, but St. Ordwig's mission closed its gate moments before that Fae's body turned up on the road. I don't like what that suggests. Not at all. The Brothers of St. Ordwig's are an odd sort, scurrying back and forth across the mission like squirrels gathering nuts. I wonder what goes on behind those closed doors.
I don't care what you race. It's a tragedy whenever anyone's savaged like this. Just look at the poor creature. She's been beaten to the brink of death. The Fae may be strange, but they certainly don't deserve this. Peaceful Fae make up the tribe known as the Court of Summer. They are led by a king in a faraway city, hidden from mortal eyes. And that's about all I know. Little more than rumors and stories from my youth. Our fate rests in the hands of a few chosen who fight in the east. You wouldn't even know it in Gorhart. We're miles away from the smoke and the screams.
That's a 1,000-yard stare if I've ever seen one.
I've spent most of my life dealing with them, but they aren't like us. Not at the core. They don't know what it means to be a man who sweats to feed his family. Gorhart has become a sort of refuge for those settlers who wish to live a life free of Fae. I don't see that lasting. Not with the war. Not with everything changing. We keep a precarious peace with the Court of Summer, one that's tested every day. I lie awake at night worrying what kind of disaster awaits me in the morning. But we're a good community full of good people. We have our eccentrics, sure, but we work hard and live quietly. That's the best anyone can do these days. I'm the Warden of Gorhart, and a poor one at that. I've been back from the war for only 6 months and been Warden for less than 2. Now here I am with an injured Fae on my doorstep. I'm a disgrace. I've seen many bandit clans in the Crystal War and back home, but these men are a particular breed. They like their victims weak and bloody. The Red Legion has been a presence in the area for several weeks now. Our people are scared to show their faces after dark. I don't know what the Tuatha will be doing this far from the front lines. It must be something vital to their interests. They're a wicked breed, though. and I pity the man who meets up with them in these darkened forests. It appears she was attacked with some manner of short blade, likely a dagger, although there's no way I can be sure. People simply stood by as she called for help. No one lifted a finger. Can you imagine? It's shameful to treat another in such a way, even if she is a fae. I don't know whether we possess the knowledge to treat such a wound. Frankly, I don't even know if I could save a mortal with such grievous wounds. It's difficult to say. We've been plagued by the Red Legion for days, but it's not their way to go after the fae in the area. They like their targets mortal. In case you haven't heard, there have been some Tuatha sighting in the woods to the west, so that's also a possibility. It's unlikely, though. Well, you're the only one. With all the troubles we've suffered in this village, people are weary of adversity. They'd rather just ignore it. I'm going to suggest something a bit untraditional. There's a fae named Eri. She spends her days up on the hill overlooking the village. Seek her wisdom. I would do it, but I am a coward. That's the truth. Perhaps a fae will know how to heal a fae. If not, then we're back where we started. Bye now.
Okay, now we can get away from the lady dying. So, this is the crafting hall. We can get some free equipment here, and we can start building our own equipment if we want to. That being said, the stuff we can make is not very good. Now, the real treasure in this town is that chest right there. That is part of the DLC Special Delivery. Special Delivery shows up whenever you have DLC items that you can collect. I do have some DLC items, and I think you might enjoy them. However, the moment you open the chest, the items roll themselves to match your current level. It is usually not a good idea to open these right off the bat. I would instead open these once you start struggling with the in-game content. Otherwise, the items you get will be powerful for a little while and then fall off sharply. Instead, treat it more as a, I need an upgrade. Once you open that chest, all the items will stop leveling and they will match your level. However, there is one item in there, which is a Detect Hidden Compass. Getting the Detect Hidden Compass will permanently increase your Detect Hidden skill by 1. In addition, there is an item there that increases your Persuasion, I believe, and that is also a good item to have. So, there is a question of when do you take the Special Delivery item. I personally recommend taking the Special Delivery once you hit level 10 or so, but it depends. Take the Special Delivery, if you have it, when you need it. Otherwise, don't worry about it. You can open it whenever you want. There are 3 main things you can do from this point. You can pursue the main story, or you can leave to go to the Teeth of Naros. Later on, you can go do the Legend of Dead Kell, if you so desire. There is additional content available for this game, but I don't have it on Steam. I have it on one of the other platforms, and I have played the other content on that other platform. So, that will be all for today's game. We probably played really, really long, an hour and 49 minutes. I hope you enjoyed your time here with me, playing our weapons build. I have been your host, Dredge. Thank you very much for joining me down here in the deep. I'll see you next time. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thank you so much, and goodbye.